What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Got another video. We're doing another modification, another upgrade to the Grand Sport Corvette, and this is going to be an awesome one because, you know, it's funny. I've had a Corvette for about 7 years, and I've done a bunch of modifications from a cam to the exhaust system to an X-pipe to the stereo to this to that. But it's funny because the one thing that I've never done, I've never upgraded the steering wheel. Now, the steering wheel that comes with the Grand Sport Corvette is a nice steering wheel. It's Alcantara. It's nice, but here's the thing. I bought this car used. It had 16,000 miles on it. And Alcantara is nice, but over time, it gets a little worn. I know you can clean it, you can bring it back to life, and I've done that. But at the end of the day, on a chilly day, it's still actually a little slippery. I don't like the way it feels. And the other thing about Alcantara is that no matter what you do over time, it's always going to get dirty. It's going to absorb the dirt in your hand, and you're going to have to constantly maintain it to bring back that grippiness. Not a big fan of that. The other thing that I don't like about the Corvette steering wheel is I don't like the size. I have big hands. It's a very narrow steering wheel. I don't like the fact that it's a very narrow steering wheel. I like big, beefy, meaty steering wheels. Well, this thing is awesome. I mean, look, check this out. How good does that look? Carbon fiber weave, all built in to a nice shiny clear coat. Got the nice red racing stripe. Got the red stitching. See if I can get a better shot with the light. The red stitching underneath. Got the leather grip on the side. All carbon fiber on the bottom. I mean, that is just really, really, really very nice. I cannot be any more happy with that. Now, this is just a core, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take out all the pieces and parts and the airbag and everything from the OEM steering wheel, and then we're going to transfer it into this steering wheel, and then we're going to put that steering wheel back on. So, the very first step when installing a steering wheel is disconnect the battery. So I've already done that. You have to disconnect the battery because you really don't want the airbag going off while you're messing with taking an airbag out. That would hurt, and that's not what we're going to do. So the power is gone. You want to let the car sit for at least 10 to 15 minutes, let all the juice get out of it. We're good. I've had it sit for actually about an hour because I had to go get a T50 bolt because you need that in order to make this happen. So anyway, let's go ahead and change out the steering wheel. All right, so now the next step, now that we have the power disconnected and we have our roof panel off, we've got some room to work with, is we need to take I'm using these Allen wrenches here, and you're going to want to come, there's 2 holes, one on each side of the steering wheel, and I'll show you the hole. So if you look right there, and there's one on the other side, and all you're going to do with the power off, which is very important, you're going to come in here and you're going to put the other one on the other side, and there are springs that hold the airbag in place, and you're going to essentially press this, and it should release the airbag. And you're going to come over to the other side, and you're going to release this one too. And you need to carefully lift it out because it is still connected. All right, so the airbag is still connected. So what we need to do is is we need to be able to get in here. I gotta get a little more room. All right, so let's see here. Let's see if we can get this thing here. So there's gonna be these two connectors, 1 and 2. You need to lift up. All right, so once you got your airbag out, you're gonna need your T50, and then you're gonna need a breaker bar for this. I already use a breaker bar. And once you get it broken off and then get that Loctite loose, then you're just gonna go ahead and crank it out. And so you get the main steering wheel bolt all the way off. Okay, and you can see all the Loctite around it. We're going to need to clean that before we put some fresh Loctite on there. But there you go. That's the steering wheel. So now we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, so now once you have the bolt off, you're just going to disconnect this connector here, and you're just going to press up on that, pull that out, and then the steering wheel should come out. Now be careful with the wires. You're going to want to snake them through carefully. Don't want to damage any of the wires that come out. Okay. That's how it was, right like that. Okay, perfect. So our steering wheel is out. So now we have to take apart the steering wheel and get all the pieces off of this wheel and put it on our new wheel. All right, so at this point I am trying to take apart the steering wheel so I can remove all of these parts over to the new steering wheel. So this just pretty much comes off. You just got to be gentle with it and pull with even force around it until this comes off. And then once this comes off, you've got 2 clips. Here's one of them. I've already done the other one. And this clip right here has to come off. And essentially what you do, let's see if I can get this to stand. See if I can get that to stay. All right. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to press this in, and then you're going to try to pull up at the same time. All right. Once you have that plastic cover removed and these 2 clips removed, now you're going to take your T25, you're going to put it right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to remove this bolt, which is going to hold in the paddle shifter. So you just put it right here. Once you get that loose, it should. Now once we have that removed, we put that aside in a safe place. And then we come back here to the paddle shifter and we simply remove this clip. Just like that. And so now we have our paddle shifter. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right. Now next step is to remove the audio controls. So we're going to take our T25. We're going to remove that. We're going to get a T20, and there are 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there. And we're just going to remove these. Alright, so now once you have these 4 bolts removed, the next thing is to remove the wiring harness. And if you can see, hopefully you can, there is a zip tie right there, and it's holding it in. So you need to get in here and carefully cut that without cutting the wires that it's holding. Okay, so we got it. All right, let's see. Now, what we want to do is we want to start removing the wiring harness, and everything will start to just come out, but we have to be very careful not to damage anything as we start to take things out. Okay. All right, there you go. So now you just have to gently pull everything out, and there is the wiring harness. Okay, so once we have this out, the steering wheel is essentially a core. We've got the paddles removed, paddle shifters are gone. Obviously airbag was first to go, and we've got all the controls and audio, and everything is officially done. So now we're going to start transferring the items back into the new steering wheel. Alright, so had a little bit of an issue putting this piece in right here. It wasn't a perfect fit, so I had to get out the Dremel, and I had to open this hole up a little bit to get this piece in, and that is part of the piece for the airbag. So, but everything else seems to look pretty good. Everything does line up. So we're going to go ahead and start to put the paddle shifters back on. All right, so that's the next step. So essentially, we're going to take this wire here, and we're going to push it through so that that connector is now coming through the other side. Let's make sure we give ourselves enough wire. Let's see, let's make sure we have enough. Okay, so we got our cable that is going to connect to the paddle shifter. We're going to get the paddle shifter connected. Make sure that connection is nice and solid. Okay. All right. Then we're going to get our screw here, line that up, and we're going to put that in there. Now let's move this out of the way. Let's get our T25, put our T25 back on, and now we're going to start putting this back in. Alright, so when you put this back on, this is not going to get super tight. It's just going to get down to a firmness, but don't over torque it. Okay, then same thing on the other side. We're going to have our screw right here. We're going to take this guy, make sure the connector is fed. Alright, whoops. Paddle shifters are in. Okay, good. Next step is to tighten down the audio controls. So we're going to switch back to our T20. Okay. And we're going to get our audio controls. Our audio control screws, which are right here. And we're going to put these right here. Alright, so now once we have the wheel on, we put some Loctite on this center bolts, and then we're just going to go ahead and lock this down again. And we need to take this bolt and torque it to 33 pounds. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so now we have the bolt in and the wheel is locked down. So what we want to do is just make sure our connections are good. And now we're going to go ahead and put the airbag back in place. So 3 connectors, right? Purple goes to purple, pink to pink, and then this guy goes up in there. So we just need to put those on, and then we're going to gently put the airbag back on. We're going to connect the power, and we should be all good. Alright, so that's it, guys. The steering wheel's in. I'm done. I've confirmed that all the controls work, and I took it out for my first drive. And I gotta tell you, I don't really know how to describe it. It's the strangest thing. But when you have a new steering wheel after you've had a car for a little bit and you're used to that steering wheel and you're used to the way it feels, and you get this new steering wheel and it's big and it's thicker, it's different. I don't know why, but the car just feels like it drives different. It feels like it drives better. I have no idea. I know it doesn't. I know the car drives exactly the same. There's no difference in the car. I didn't change the suspension. All I did was change the steering wheel. But man, it is just different. It feels so good. So if you're out there and you're thinking about upgrading your steering wheel, or if you're like me, maybe you have some really big hands and you're thinking that the steering wheel that comes with the Corvette's a little thin, or maybe you have the Alcantara wheel and yours is getting a little dirty or worn out, or you find that it gets slippery on those cold days or those cold mornings, you cannot go wrong upgrading your steering wheel. I would highly recommend the one that I got. Looks great, feels great. It's actually real carbon fiber in there. It's not a dipped wheel. I know there are some dipped wheels. So I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can check that out. But I did find it on eBay. And so let's check out the results. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.